It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando from the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos. Ding, ding, ding. And we're back for another State of Pro Wrestling. Again, I still love that intro. I'm telling you, none of those heavy metal drummers are still just like coherent or maybe even functional at this point, because my gosh, and you got to bang your head at the same time. Just like, my gosh, man, I'm telling you, those drummers from the past on those heavy metal bands, I feel for them. But it is a State of Pro Wrestling for 2025. Hopefully you've had a great year for pro wrestling. And today, John and I will tell you what we thought was great in pro wrestling and what also sucked in pro wrestling for 2025. And here today to help me do that is my tag team partner extraordinaire. He's got all the technical gremlins worked out. He's given them a headlock. He's given them a pile driver on the chair. But in 2025, that only gets a 2 count. It is, of course, John Orlando from the PV. Am I lying?
No, you're not. You're not. You're spot on.
Yeah, I did research last night in for the best and worst of, and I was watching back some matches, and a pile driver on a chair is only a 2 count into 2025, and I'll leave it at that. It is, of course, John Orlando from the PVD Cast on pvdcast.com and wherever you get your podcasts, and also as well Matt Talk, not Matt Talk per se, because he does cheat on me on the PVD Cast with other wrestling aficionados, but Matt Talk for the best in coverage of the original Matlock series with Andy Griffith. Of course, John, great to have you back, my friend. All ready to get into the best and worst of in pro wrestling for 2025?
Oh, I'm excited. I will say this: I enjoy doing these type of year-end shows, but it's also a challenge because I have to think back to all the things that I have seen in the last 12 months and experienced and whatnot. And it makes it a challenge, but I'm excited to share my list. We have certain categories that we're going to run down, and hopefully I won't get any heat, hopefully, with some folks. We'll see. I think that there's a category that I'm a little bit, I'm being honest, but I'm also a little bit trepidatious to give my true thoughts.
Hey, you know what? Do it anyways. Get some heat. Good heat is good heat, my friend. There you go. Just don't worry about what other people say. Just you feel it, you bring it. Absolutely.
All right.
So there you go. Absolutely, indeed. But we're going to start off the subjects, the countdown, the categories per se, with one I've added in there because I got rid of one, actually a couple. Best dressed, worst dressed, best referee, worst referee. I, for whatever reason, we needed in the past because it seemed to fit, but now it doesn't. So you and I both said, you know what, we didn't need those categories in there, but I did add one in there last minute, and that was your most exciting or surprising moment in pro wrestling, and also the most disappointing. So, what is your most exciting or surprising? What made you excited the most as a wrestling fan, or surprised the most as a wrestling fan this year in 2025?
I think for me, it was the idea that we have more choices now than maybe we've ever had. And I mean that because we saw AAA become part of WWE. We saw TNA work with WWE. So to me, as a fan, that gave me hope that we're going to have some great wrestling in our future. And, there's a lot out there. I didn't see probably a third of what's all out there. But I really think that for me, just having more choices to choose from, whether it's AEW, NWA, MLW, if it's AAA, if it's CMLL, New Japan, even some indies out there. I just think that for me is what motivated me, what excited me about being a fan of pro wrestling.
Okay. Uh, I can't say I disagree with you. Just the options now. I know not all of it is great as far as the product that they're putting out, but there are options once again. And I think they're on a visible, easily to get platform. I don't want to say it rivals back in the day in the late 80s, early 90s, as far as when the cable explosion happened and everybody seemingly had so many options. I lived, fortunately, in the Southern California area where we had not a, was it it's UHF, where you channel 56, not one of the main channels, but it was Orange County Station, channel 56, and they played a block of wrestling from all over the country, and there was so much syndicated or wrestling being put out there, whether it was local or in other regional promotions out there. And it was just really so advantageous to watch. And I felt like a kid in the candy store every weekend when I got a chance to sit down and watch all that wrestling. And I know you did too. Plus, I got a chance to trade tapes with others, or also go to my local Japanese stores because they had Japanese stores that actually would import the latest stuff from All Japan and New Japan and other wrestling from that era in that area. So I feel like we're getting close to that point once again. As far as the hours, that's actually they're right on par because with whatever WWE, AEW puts out, TNA, NXT, Triple A, when they go on YouTube and whatnot. I mean, the amount of hours we could watch and sit down and watch pro wrestling are very comparable. But the amount of organizations now that have a viable television product, which will only get better next year with what TNA is going to get into with what they're doing with A&E, or is it AMC? I'm sorry,
It's AMC. Yeah.
AMC is going to be even better as a viable option for fans moving forward.
Yeah, like we say all the time on this show, I'm always the one that says, look, um, just like wrestling, you don't have to like everything out there. You can pick and choose because we do have that option nowadays, thanks to technology, that we could pick and choose what we want to watch. If you are feeling that this one promotion is red hot, give it your support. If it's a dud, the storylines are awful, this other product isn't what you want to watch, then don't watch it. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And again, I agree with you on that. So, my best or most surprising event that happened for me as a pro wrestling fan was something that I had talked about a long time ago that I thought should have happened a long time ago. That was John Cena's heel turn, and just the act of him doing it, and actually giving the low blow to CM Punk, and up until that point with John Cena's return and how the year laid out, not too bad. Obviously, financially, it was great. And up until that point, John, where he did the low blow on CM Punk, I was with it. And I was with the heel turn change. I was with the heel turn. That, I know there are a lot of people that weren't, but I think this is something that he wanted to do because he's been hearing it ad nauseum for over a decade
Mm-hmm.
about him turning. And I think he just said he wanted to try it because he knew with Peacemaker and all the stuff he's doing outside the ring that it doesn't really phase his popularity outside the ring. So, and people in 2025 are willing to disassociate the John Cena wrestling character to what John Cena they see on interviews or on the screen. So, him actually doing it and executing it was great. But I will lead it to my latter part here in a second. Your thoughts, my friend, first, though, on the most disappointing aspect of being a pro wrestling fan in 2025.
Something that you helped me vote this way on this particular topic was, we talked about it. I feel like the most disappointing thing is the price gouging from WWE.
Good
You talked
call.
you talked about on Legion Stadium how some of those seats are $300 and now this year they're $800, and just what I've read online about people just, talking about how much things cost when they go to a show. To me, that's the most disappointing. It's like, how much money do you need to make? I guess is my point. If you're TKO or the WWE or any sports entity, like, to me, I always think there's got to be a point where you say, enough is enough. We got enough cash. Let's just start making it so that, fans can come and enjoy. A family of four can come and not take out a second mortgage on their house to come and enjoy a night of pro wrestling.
Mhm.
And so for me, that is the most disappointing aspect. Because again, I just going back when I was a kid, like, that was a big deal to go see live wrestling. So you think about all these folks who can't afford it, they're missing out. And that's unfortunate because it doesn't help the foundation of pro wrestling, to be stronger, because you have younger kids that want to see it and they get a chance to see it and they're enamored by it. So I think the WWE is doing themselves a real disservice with their pricing.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I'll tell you what, it's going to get even worse for now. And the prices are going to continue to rise, and they're not attractive at all. And we'll see what happens. Again, we look forward to hearing your thoughts on the prices, but yeah, it's becoming extremely difficult to be a live attendee of professional wrestling as this moves forward. And I think at some point there is going to be a breaking point for
Mhm.
audiences, and we'll see that. And if that's the case, we'll report it. Yes, Tony. Yes, we are very well aware of that Austin Theory joint division. Yes, we do know that he's the masked man. That was very well reported on, and our excitement and enthusiasm over that, as far as it's concerned, it didn't make our list of as far as most exciting or disappointing, because actually that was well known ahead of time that he was the masked man for quite some time. I think John and I already caught up on that because in the area of leaks. That was leaked out well ahead on that, Tony. But again, if you're a big Austin Theory fan, he is now getting a second lease on life. So we'll see if he can take advantage of it, or if he does become the buddy, the the Buddy Roberts of the Vision. We'll have to wait and see, my friend. But my most disappointing, as far as event category for 2025, I talked about John Cena's heel turn. John,
Mhm.
the moment after he gave the groin shot to CM Punk, everything after that was poorly run and managed. And that to me is the most disappointing. They didn't run with it. They didn't do enough with it. It didn't stick with audiences. Most people panned it. And it's not just the heel turn. When he turned back into a good guy, turned back into a face later on in the year, which everybody knew he was also going to do as well. That came as no surprise. It just, the panache, the je ne sais quoi. And also, again, and I had this argument with TJ Johnson on the pop culture cosmos as far as how it went out. Not only the fact that over the number of titles and who is the GOAT, whatnot, because he's a big John Cena fan. And again, if you are, more power to you. But the way he went out, again, I don't want to go into the diatribe. We just went into that you and I both posted on John Cena's final run on both the PVD cast and the Pop Culture Cosmos. But I'll just say, you listen to your crowd. And you went into it with the prices, what people are paying 600, 700, 1,000 for John Cena's final match, what they were paying tickets for. And they saw what happened there. And it was just truly a disappointing run. So, it was both the best of times and the worst of times for me as a pro wrestling fan with John Cena this year, John.
Yeah, they certainly dropped the ball. In fact, to me, it still makes me scratch my head how it seemed like there was little explanation for Cena going from the heel back to the babyface. Like, it just seemed like it just happened. That's just that's it went on. Here's Brock Lesnar, and it just there was nothing there to meld or merge those two ideas together. It just, yeah, it was poorly executed for sure.
Once again, it is the state of pro wrestling. It is John Orlando along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Please support John on his PVD cast and also Matt Talk as well, along with me and my Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Lakers Fast Break, and Pop Culture Cosmos shows. Truly great to have you here as we go over the state of pro wrestling for the year 2025 and what we liked and didn't like in the squared circle. Next up is the best and worst commentator or color analyst. You could either which one you want to use, just whoever is on the mic calling the action, who you liked and didn't like overall. And I'm going to say I had for the first time ever, John, and this comes after we made, was it earlier this year or last year when we did the list for commentators and we ranked them.
Yeah.
This is the first time I actually considered Michael Cole for best of the year. And it came close. But I am going with a repeat individual, and that is Corey Graves, because his work in AAA, because they just basically, when they got AAA, they just kind of did everything hodgepodge as far as piece everything together. How are they going to go ahead and present it? And they just threw Corey Graves in there, and he's killed it ever since. And it just shows you how they constantly poo-poo on him on the big level with the SmackDown or run deal. And he always, every time they give him something to do, whether it's as the lead announcer or as the color analyst, he always knocks it out of the park, my friend. So who is your best commentator this year?
Mine is going to be a little bit of an obscure pick, but I like the simplicity of this gentleman when he presents wrestling. I'm going with the NWA's Joe Galley. I think that, again, he's not flashy, he's not fancy, but he is a throwback to he's just a simple, straightforward, here's the facts, here's the storyline notes commentator. And since the NWA is always hyping up their heritage, I think that fits very well with Galley's skill set. So I too also thought about Michael Cole as well, because he has certainly improved in the last 3 or 4 years. Prior to that, I thought he was awful. He was garbage when it came
Funny
to
how
commentating.
Vince McMahon leaves and this happens.
Yeah, exactly. You said it.
But I will go for worst commentator now, and it's a repeat because he technically works shows and technically still does come in on rare occasions now, and that's Pat McAfee. He is still rancid, still one of the worst of all time on that big a stage. I'm not talking about the local show. I'm not talking about the territories. I'm not talking about the old 70s announcers that still didn't know how to call moves that were thrust into the limelight more often in the 80s and whatnot. I'm just talking about on this modern platform, Pat McAfee still is the worst out there. I know a lot of people do not like Booker T, and I get that, I understand that, but I still think Booker T is, to me at least, a little entertaining with his enthusiasm for the product. But Pat McAfee is just bad. He's just bad. And I don't know why he is still on the air in any format. I don't like his show on ESPN. I don't like his show wherever he's at. I don't like his show, period. He's a punter. He's not even a real football player. He's a punter. A punter. Punter. And I'll just leave it at that.
Wow, shots fired.
There you go. You wanted to go ahead and get some heat. I'm giving some heat back.
All right.
Pat McAfee is actually going to sit down here and watch this. So whatever.
Well, you don't know. You don't know. He might.
Punter. Who is your worst announcer of the year, my friend?
I think because over the last year or so, things have gotten a little bit worse in AEW, and I say that the commentary team could help with so many of those bad matches and try to make things more interesting. And I think Excalibur is not helping things at all.
Wow.
I
mean, he came into AEW with a whole lot of hype. And you could see he could call a great match if he wanted to. That's the thing. That's what bothers me the most. But it just seems like either he's being directed to or decide to go off in a different venture. And enough with the mask. Enough with the mask, please.
Yeah.
Just stop. Just stop that. That the gimmick is dead. It is unless you're going to CMLL or AAA. Just stop. Just stop. Please stop.
See, I was a big advocate of the mask, but I agree with you. He's been there now 7 years.
Yeah.
There's like, come on, we could
That
change it
time
up
has
here.
come and gone. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I just feel like that was my thing is I feel like he has since he's the lead announcer, he should be directing things. And I feel like he just lets Tony Schiavone and Taz or whoever else is there just do whatever they want. And then we get him throwing in all these various different bits of trivia, which is great and that's fine. And I know that builds
But
background,
he
but
calls moves. He knows moves better than anyone. That's the problem, my friend, because he
mhm,
technically knows the moves better than anyone in any promotion. It just falls flat once he starts, like you say, letting the ship run amok.
yep. So
There you go. All right. So that was a nice one, though. Yes, I know Jim Cornette would love you for that one. I'll just leave it at that. Best and worst gimmick 2025. This goes back to the traditional days of pro wrestling. I know gimmicks are not exactly as relied upon as they once were in the past, John. It's more about names, name value, and then what kind of presence can they bring on screen. Gimmicks are not exactly as in vogue as they once were back in the 80s, especially, and then in the 90s to an extent. But as we've modernized pro wrestling, one of the things that's gone away are those gimmicks. But I've got one that can still stand out for you. Who is your best gimmick? I'll leave it to you first, my friend, because it's your turn to start. What is your best gimmick of 2025?
I think this is a pretty easy one for me because I'm a big fan of the gimmick and I'm a big fan of the wrestler. I'm going timeless Tony Storm.
Good
I just
call.
I really think that has legs, and it's been a couple years that she's been doing that gimmick, and I still find it as entertaining as before.
Okay. All right. Well, my, I guess, gimmick of the year, to put it mildly, is a actually one that WWE, the place where all good gimmicks go to die, is El Grande Americano. I they've really with the nice vignettes, what he's done in AAA. It worked initially at the WWE level. That's kind of like now that they have like 14 El Grande Americanos, it's kind of like different now. There's like every mid card wrestler they put under the El Grande Americano. But the Chad Gable, but even after that, with Tiffany Stratton's boyfriend,
Ludwig
uh,
Kaiser,
yeah,
Kaiser
Ludwig
Ludwig.
Kaiser, yes, I think both were great, and both
hmm
are great in the role. I know that Chad Gable's out with injury right now, but I really like the gimmick, and it still works effectively in AAA as it did this past weekend in that tag team match with him and Dominic Mysterio against Rey Mysterio. And there he is. Yeah, it was great. I still think it's good. It still works to an extent, and I really want to compliment WWE for at least on a AAA level to getting it done. So there you go, friend. Worst gimmick in 2025.
There was a few on this list. Um, I'm not a fan of the Creed brothers. They were considered, but they're kind of not gimmicky, other than they're just amateur wrestlers. I'm gonna go with the Beast Mortis
Okay.
because to me, I guess he's a great luchador. Don't get me wrong, but the character's not been explained too well to me, and I
How
feel
he's
like
not very tall for a beast, and I'll just say that.
no. So I just feel like there's potential there. Again, this is where the commentary team of AEW could jump in there and make this gimmick really, really work if they just provide some backstory to the casual fans that are watching at home.
Or the
Um,
real life joining of him and Mercedes Monet, put that
yeah,
in onto the ring as well.
yeah, that would help both of them.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would. Very well said. My worst on gimmicks. I think this was the easiest category for me. It's the Death Riders. You know what's
Oh,
death? Watching them on TV. That's whole year. It's been awful. It's been terrible. Anytime they come on screen, for me, it's death, and I immediately turn the channel. I have not turned the channel faster on my remotes when the Death Rider comes on. When the Death Riders say that whether they jump out from the crowd, whatnot, and, interrupt the match, it's just awful. They're just boring, and it's just uninteresting. And none of them have any charisma. And John Moxley, whatever charisma he had, got sapped when he, decided to join up or start this group, because they have, people talk about the decline of AEW in many ways, and then also they've had some rising in others. But um, one of the creative declines for AEW, you could point right directly at the Death Riders, John.
yeah, that's a good one because much like you, I haven't watched a Death Riders match in 3 or 4 months.
Nor do I want to. I
Right?
have
No,
no
no,
desire.
no, because I've never been a fan of Wheeler Yuta, and so not a fan of him. Moxley was okay, but like you said, I think the bloom is off the rose with his character. Uh, I've never liked Shafir. I never just really found her to be boring as well. Who else? Oh, Pac. Pac is okay.
Claudio's,
Claudio.
yeah.
Claudio's the favorite of mine. I like Claudio, and I would like to see him be the leader of a group rather than Moxley.
I'd rather see him out on his own personally, but that's just me. But yeah, John Moxley, I'll get back to here in a second on another category. But the best and worst feud for 2025. Your thoughts, my friend? Actually, I'll start off with this one. The best is actually something that carried over, and I probably said good things about it last year, along with, of course, at that time, of course, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I thought was really good as well. But Tony Storm and Mariah May was the ending of and culmination of their feud this year. People forget, oh well, yeah, she's in NXT now, Mariah May is, but no, their feud ended in very monumental fashion for AEW. And again, I never saw anything really with the kind of heat that they could draw or the kind of intensity that they could draw as much as I saw with those two earlier this year. And I just never saw anything since that really had that je ne sais quoi as far as a feud is concerned since CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, which I would mainly put back, uh, you know, uh, as far as 24. But you could also say CM Punk and Drew McIntyre 2025 as well. But it was mainly taken over by CM Punk, Seth Rollins once again. And again, if they start up CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, or CM Punk, Seth Rollins, it goes right back to the top of the heap on feuds. But yes, the way that Tony Storm and Mariah May finished up was probably the best thing for me I saw in feuds this year. What about you, John?
You mentioned it, Rollins and Punk. I thought that every time that they had a match, it was very good. The storyline was really good as well. The use
I
of
think it
bringing
got
in
cut short was why, because of the
right.
injury to Rollins, which for me was the key factor and why I couldn't put it number one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the injury has derailed a lot of plans, but I still stuck with it. I thought it was the best,
Good
especially
choice.
especially coming out of WWE. I thought
Yeah.
it was the best feud of the
I
year.
and I think it all leads into CM Punk. I mean, he
Hmm.
gets that out of McIntyre, he gets that out of Rollins, and whether it's some of it's based in real life or what have you, it's really good what he has created since his return to the WWE. But yeah, both good choices. Need the worst feud I have was anything that involved the Death Riders. Uh, whether it was dealing with Hangman Page, whether it was dealing with Swerve Strickland, whether it was dealing with Darby Allen and dunking him into a 10-gallon fish tank. Yeah, anything that involved the Death Riders for me, my friend. What do you got for worst feud?
Mine was Jade Cargill and Naomi because
Ooh.
that never worked for me. Naomi as the heel never worked for me ever.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
just could
I
not.
remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
would have said Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton was next on my list. I didn't think that really was very interesting at all. But yeah, that one I could understand why. We'll see. Jade Cargill. I mean, now that she has a championship, does anybody really care? I mean,
mhm,
she's got the look, she's got extreme amount of talent, but does Tiffany Stratton? I think a lot of the reason why they took the belt off her is because refinement of her skills in the ring. I think some people have questioned that, but because she's extremely talented, extremely athletic, but is it is it smooth enough in the ring as of yet for a champion? So I expect to see Tiffany Stratton at some point be brought back at that level. But for Jade Cargill, we'll have to wait and see. Again, Jade Cargill is the champion now. Is she a smooth enough wrestler uh, for a long-term title run? So we'll wait and
mhm.
see, my friend. Plus, do they have enough singles titles contenders right now? Because the tag team for the ladies, the tag team as far as for the women's division is really great in WWE. The singles, I don't know. We'd have to wait and see how that works itself out. But there you go for best and worst feud. Again, it's really great thoughts. Once again, it is, of course, John Orlando from the PVD cast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching us. We truly appreciate it. We continue on the best and worst of 2025. Best and worst on promos. The your first, my friend, on this one. Who is the best on promos today?
I'm giving it to somebody that probably it will be no surprise to many people, but I have a feeling some people might smirk at this one. But I still think for the best person on promos is Paul Heyman. I mean, not only does he verbally give you his 2 cents worth and get home the point, but he does all those small little facial expressions. Just they're so minute, but they bring so much to his character and they bring so much to the storyline that I feel like without Paul Heyman, I mean, there would be no probably Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed teaming up, and there certainly wouldn't have that. I don't know that je ne sais quoi, as we've said several times on the show with him. So Paul Heyman gets my vote as the best on promos.
All right, that's a good choice always. Because he's one of the most gifted orators ever in professional wrestling. I'm tired of the intro. I'm tired of the intro that he gives. I'm just tired of it. Again, I understand it's just to get the crowd and the crowd follows along, get the script, but I'm just tired of it. But you're right. Once he gets out of that and actually goes into it, he is a heat getter. And for reasons all past the decades, people have gathered why he's one of the best on the mic. Yes, absolutely. Still in 2025, you can see that today. But also one of the best all time on the mic is
Mhm.
also in the WWE, and I'm going to go with CM Punk. CM
Yeah,
Punk,
yeah.
really, as far as doing things original and not having stuff that he has to fall back on to have the crowd chant with him on that. He goes into really unique. Well, you want something with anger, you want something with aggression, you want something with detailed thought and analysis put by, and you want something that doesn't sound like it was written by a WWE writer. Then go to CM Punk, and that to me is the most important thing because maybe it is written by a WWE writer, but I don't think it is. I think he's given bullet points of what to touch on, and they let him run with it. And I think he has enough cachet to do so. And I'm very uh, happy that is because he still provides in those 25, 30, 45, 1 hour, 2 hour, however long those opening segments are, my friend. At least when he's on, he does make it interesting with his promos, my friend.
He was considered for best of, as well as LA Knight as well for me. I had those two penciled in, but I just feel that Heyman's, as I mentioned, those facial expressions just put it over the top.
Don't even get me started on LA Knight and who if we had a uh, uh, guy who got the short end of the stick the most in 2025, he would be
Yeah.
well up on that list, indeed. But worst on promos, go ahead, my friend. I'll let you start. Who is the worst on pro? Who are the promos that you hear that make you just your fingernails just start reeling back, and you just you feel like you want to go ahead and just cleanse yourself or take a shower or do something or wash the dishes or do anything else, watch paint dry or anything else outside of listen to what they have to say.
I'm going with Moxley because a
Ah,
lot.
ding, ding, ding. We finally have our first dual champion. Yes, John Moxley is my loser or winner as well. Tell us
Yeah,
why.
just because like he says the most insanely dumb things, like I'm gonna eat your blood and blah blah, and it's like no, like there. I don't remember what '80s wrestler said this, but you have to when you give a promo, you have to be able to back up what you say you're going to do. So you can't go out there and go, "I'm going to kill you," because if you don't kill that person, then you look weak. So I just feel like yeah, Moxley's like this mix of like bad like heavy metal lyrics and the Ultimate Warrior, just mishmashed together. So there you go,
Okay.
Moxley for me.
Same here. When he comes with this gruff voice. Okay, he is like a throwback to, like you said, the 80s and 70s and whatnot. But it's the kind of throwback I don't want or need because it doesn't fit in 2025. And, whether he's threatening to beat up or get rid of Darwin. And so, I just don't even want to go into it because Darby Allen and all that, as far as the feud there, that could have been really something to elevate the kid. And I don't think it really did. The fish tanks aside, I just don't think it really worked out, no matter how gross or no matter how hardcore they went and what angles. Again, anything relating to the Death Riders was just death in many ways, including John Moxley on the mic. I want to go ahead and go on to the next one, and that is the best and worst promotion, my friend. Best or and worst promotion. Who do you have as your best promotion of 2025?
CMLL. I mean,
Ooh, another winner.
we
Yes.
got it. Yeah, because I
Yes.
mean, when you look at the stats, you look at what they did over the year. Just bottom line, they had one heck of a year, and even though I may not be as knowledgeable about CMLL as other people, I recognize a really darn good job when it comes up to promoting and doing all the right things to pack those houses and whatnot.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I think the best way we can say it is at the box office.
Hmm.
Because I think it was in November, late November, or early December. Because they run weekly shows, Arena Coliseo and other places. They have their around the horn that they run on a weekly basis. They don't go too much outside of their normal tours, but they're based in a certain section of Mexico for the most part. And Arena Coliseo is one of it. And guess what? They, I think, are the first promotion to have $1 million in consistency. A million people, I'm sorry, a million people go through their turnstiles in a year at Arena Coliseo. So you're running weekly shows at 15,000, 16,000 seat people, sellouts every single time, every single week virtually. And yeah, it all adds up. And they did a great job. And they have did something I think no other organization's ever done, is going over a million um, people going through their turnstiles for a year. And I think that speaks about the stories that they provided, the matches that they provided, the influence of wrestlers. They didn't do it with an abundance of AEW wrestlers either.
Hmm.
They did it with a lot of what they had there and what they have there. And going forward, and they also did it in the face of AAA, given a big financial boost with the WWE and a profile boost with the WWE, and they still, in the face of all that, still flourished, probably more consistently and better than anyone else. Sure, the WWE had the big houses of the year, the big numbers of the year, and AEW packed in 20,000 plus in a ballpark, and then what they did overseas in Europe as well. But consistently on a week by week basis, no one can say they did better than CMLL.
Agreed. And hopefully they keep that going. Hopefully 2026 will be another fantastic year for CMLL. And they again, going back to what we said when we started this conversation, I'm happy that there are choices. And again, I would love to see CMLL be as popular as any other wrestling company or corporation, because again, ultimately, it just gives the talented people in pro wrestling a place to work.
I agree, my friend. I would love to see AAA and CML flourish even more in 2026. Both being given. I like the fact that AAA is put on YouTube. CMLL. I want to see a better uh, television spotlight for them, that in accordance with what they're doing at Arena Coliseo. And I just would love to see that again being rewarded for their success. Because again, for two companies in Mexico, AAA it's not doing bad either. Let's just put it
Mm-mm,
at a
no.
stretch. No, they were even before the boost that they were given by WWE, they weren't doing that bad. So they're still doing better now with the WWE. And again, I'd love to see this competition going because you see, as you and I know, living through the Attitude Era, the product is best when there's heavy
Hmm.
competition from someone nearby, and we'll see. Hopefully that will continue to take place in 2026. But the worst promotion that you had in mind, my friend, let me know what that is.
This is what I alluded to. Uh, I, I I hate to say this because I have friends who have worked or are working with this
Oh, it's
promotion.
okay. I got Pat McAfee fans probably wanting my head on a silver platter at this point in time. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta say it. The NWA. Just
Ding, ding, ding. Three in a row. Three in a row, my friend. You and I both.
I hate to say it. I really do because of the personal connection. But man, just I, they have talented people. They have very talented people on that roster. But just the booking and the storylines and the inconsistencies of their television, quote unquote television product, just makes it all a mess. And I just want that company to do better. I mean, they have the heritage. They should play that up. They should certainly start to, much like CMLL, find 4 places or 5 places where you could have a little cycle where you could go around. One week you're in city A, second week you're in city B, third week you're in city C, and work around like that. And I don't know. I want them to be successful, but I mean, we've talked about it on the show numerous times of how they have screwed things up.
All I'll say is this, my friend. You said there's very talented people there, and so I don't know them. So I'm just gonna say this: Are they talented? I mean, the NWA World Champion, one of the previous most recognizable and most sought after and most desirable and most auspicious wrestling championships for decades, is now being owned as a champion by Thrill Billy Silas Mason. Okay. Why you would want to give your championship to a Thrill Billy is beyond me. It just, again, I don't know what Billy Corgan is doing. When I see what I see and I see the list of champions and I see the titles and I've seen where you can find the NWA, it just looks like the product has gotten worse under Billy Corgan and not better. And that is the problem I have. I'd have to tell him, I say, your product has gotten worse under your auspices. I'm not going to BS him. And the fact is that he's got multiple dual champions speaks in and of itself that you don't have a roster enough of qualified people that can have titles on your roster. You have to give multiple titles to this person, and you have to give multiple titles to this person. The NWA is in a lot of trouble, my friend. And I think I was a TNA, or I think it was TNA. I said that was going to die by the end of this year. I think I shocked you on that. I think that was our prediction for, we may pull out if we need some time on the end, a prediction for next year. But I will just say this again: I see the NWA product, and I don't like what I see.
Well, my thing is, I agree with
Thrill
you that
Billy.
they haven't put the world title on too many very good challengers or champions, if you will. But The other problem, you talk about multiple belts. Well, that's the problem with the NWA and with every wrestling company, is that we have a plethora of belts and we don't need to have that many titles. It's very
Agreed.
simple. So,
Agreed, my friend. But I'm sure the NWA Mid America Heavyweight Champion, Jeremiah Plunkett, would tell you differently. But I will leave it at that. Once again, it is, of course, the state of pro wrestling. It is, of course, John Orlando along with me, Gerald Glassford, wrapping up this best and worst of professional wrestling. We're going to have to run through this really quickly. The best and worst match of the year. My best match of the year was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair here in Las Vegas at WrestleMania 41. What was your best match of the year, my friend?
best match of the year. This was a hard one to select.
For me, it wasn't, because I picked it out. I saw the work rate. I thought they did a sensational job
Oh yeah,
on the biggest platform there is.
oh yeah. I went a little bit different. I went MJF and Mystico.
I heard that was a great match. Absolutely.
Yeah, from what I witnessed, it was a solid match, and the fact that you have MJF getting such heat for being
Yes.
essentially Homelander. That was his gear. I mean,
Mhm.
so overall, I think that for me was the best that I saw.
Absolutely incredible. I think you're right on. MJF is such an underrated wrestler, but he has provided many of the best wrestling matches of this decade. I am happy to see him back with AEW, away from the movie theater, away from the movie sets. So we'll see if he sticks to it. He says he wants to be the best in the world, but again, with Hollywood calling, we'll see how long that lasts, my friend. And if he ends up going to WWE or not in order to become the best in the world, indeed. But great choice, my friend. The worst match also on the same stage. And as I said, you can provide one of the best matches in WrestleMania history on the biggest stage possible. We also saw one of the worst matches, which I talked about as far as a great moment for John Cena when he turned heel and got CM Punk on that. But the aftermath, I'm going to have to include that in on this match, was some of the worst in pro wrestling I've seen in a major stage ever. It probably will be known as one of the worst matches that was out there, because also, not just because of that, because the work as well, the work rate. John Cena, he just, when he put you in a hold, tighten it up, man. I mean, you and I and like three other people could also just like squirm out of it if we're all together. If when he does this SDF and all that stuff like that, but the match again was really at best. But I liked again the heel turn. I liked what was leading up to it. Then the match itself happened, and then of course we saw what happened with as well. What with the turn, of course, with the stuff with Scott and no
Yeah,
Rock.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott, no Rock, didn't show up for it. Really on the biggest stage. I mean, whatever happened in Toronto with the heel turn and all that, as far as one of the greatest moments I saw this year, was put by one of the worst matches of the year. It was like okay at best, but made worse when Travis Scott went there and the match just took a downturn dump in the toilet, my friend.
Hmm. That that whole thing was just unwatchable.
Mhm. Because when he made the turn at Elimination Chamber, I thought I had hope. I had hope for
Hmm.
John Cena as a heel. I thought everything was going to be good. But yeah, that match at WrestleMania again, it was some flaws in that match to be sure. But yeah, it went into the toilet when Scott. Oh, I think he's still walking out to ringside as we speak because it took so damn long for him to get there, and it was just atrocious, my friend. So that's our best and worst match of the year. The best and worst tag team of the
Oh wait,
year.
wait, wait. Did I
Oh,
get my
oh,
worst?
oh no, no. What is your worst? My bad. What is your
Okay.
worst match of this year?
Um, I'm going Saturday night's main event: Goldberg and Gunther.
Ooh, that wasn't. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. That's
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was pretty bad. It was almost as bad. It made me want to watch a Death Riders match. That's how
You
bad it was.
don't be nicer to Oldberg. Can you be please be nicer to
Okay.
Oldberg because he looked
Okay.
Oldberg in that match for that's
Oh,
for sure. Yes. Next is best and worst tag team. Uh, I'm going to tell you right now the best tag team, and of course, this shows the lack of foresight on Tony Khan's part as a booker. The Hurt Syndicate.
ding,
Uh,
ding, ding,
they
ding.
they like to hurt. They like to hurt people. They were just they had such momentum. It just not only did the WWE mess up with them in the WWE, but AEW. How can you mess this up? They could have been the most dominant team outside the WWE since the Road Warriors, and you messed that up.
Well,
Your
I
thoughts?
agree with you. I agree with you. 100%. The Hurt Syndicate was the best tag team in wrestling, hands down. In my opinion, of 2025, they were the best. You name any others, I'd say no way. I mean, you got the mouthpiece of MVP. You have the big bruiser, the big strong Herculean Bobby Lashley, and then you have the more smooth, refined Shelton Benjamin. Yeah, how they got messed up twice within a matter of like 6 months, but hands down, they were the best of 2025.
And they lost the belts. They didn't even lose the belts themselves. They lost it to Bro Dito. Bro, let that sink in. Bro Dito. And I'll just leave it at that. The worst tag team is the War Raiders. I think these are guys that
Oh,
when the next cuts come in, because the NXT guys will be moved up, those are guys are probably first up on the list as the people tag team that nobody really cares about. What's your thoughts on the worst tag team of 2025?
it's the same vote that I would have, or the same people I would have voted last year and the year before that and the year before that, and that is the Young Bucks.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they would be in my top three as well. Young Bucks, uh, any combination with the Death Riders as well. Let's go ahead and put it as far as yeah. Let's keep the Death Rider love going there. But yes, the Young Bucks are sadly not entertaining, and they're not Hall of Famers. And I'll just leave it at that. I agree, John.
Yeah, and I didn't really like the storyline where they quote lost everything end quote, and the stupid bad ring introductions, and then they had stupid opponents, and that whole storyline was bleh. That's all I'll
Uh,
say.
Going back into the best female wrestler and worst female wrestler. Best wrestler for me is Tony Storm, and I have a feeling that's probably high on your list as well.
It is. Tony Storm was my female wrestler of the year.
And what did Tony Khan do? He put her in a tag team and got her out of the title loop. Yes, so taking the total focus off of the singles ladies championship. Well
Mhm.
done, Tony. Well done. Very well done. Yes, absolutely. Just really smart. The worst female wrestler right now, I would have to say Lyra Valkyria. They gave her that stupid, as far as the wings and all that. Just she's been uninspiring ever since she got to the main roster, and the stuff with Bailey has not clicked at all. And the stuff with Becky Lynch did not click at all. So I put her slightly ahead of BFAB just because the fact that BFAB has not been given the same kind of profile that Lyra Valkyria is. Although BFAB technically she's not ready. She's not ready to work matches as of yet. She looks like somebody like, for instance, Maxine Dupree, who was also really green heading into this year, but at least Maxine Dupree has worked a little bit harder and she's less rough on the edges. Your thoughts on worst female wrestler for the year?
Nia Jax. Again, I don't understand it, and her feud with Tiffany Stratton I didn't dig. So just overall, I mean, it is what it is. She's going to be around because she has connections, and we're all going to have to deal with it. But yeah, I'm not liking it. So Nia Jax, worst female wrestler for me.
So that comes down to the male wrestler of the year and also worst male wrestler of the year. And for me, this one was really hard one because I don't think, CM Punk had his moments. John Cena had his moments. Again, Samoa Joe had his moments. Hangman Page had his moments. Uh, Seth Rollins had his moments. Cody Rhodes did not have as many moments. And I think because you're living up to what Cody Rhodes did in previous years, it's really hard to put him at that stature. So I went with, even though he did hurt his nose for a little while, was out a little while, but I am going with the legend killer, Gunther, as my wrestler of the year. Your thoughts on who you
Ooh.
have as your male wrestler of the year?
I went with Cody Rhodes.
Really? I just
Yeah,
couldn't
I
get him. I
did.
couldn't get him there because he just didn't have the same kind of years that he had as far as the previous 2 years, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think for me, I felt like he certainly had done enough to get that recognition, because I feel like I also felt like, we've all talked about Punk. We've like he took a back seat to a lot of great, deserving winners on this list. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like Cody Rhodes. I don't know. Maybe it was out of sympathy or pity that I gave him the title. I mean, but I just thought he had a decent year, and I think the fans are still way behind him. And to me, those were the fan interaction was, to me, the icing on the cake.
The word you said right there, decent. For me, I just didn't think it was, decent is good, but compared to what he did the previous 2 years, I just don't think he had enough. And plus, the focus seemed to be off him a little bit more this year by the WWE. It seemed to be in other places. Obviously, with John Cena coming back for his final run, there you go. The worst wrestler of this year is probably someone that was really, outside of John Moxley. I could have gone John Moxley here. I was thinking about it, was thinking long and hard about it, but I think we put them on too many bad categories as is. So I went with Jey Uso. Jey Uso with the Yeet, which was really hot at the beginning of the year, fizzled like bacon on a pan that's warming up. And I'll just say this again: by the end of 2025, he's back in a team with his brother. He got a title run, but it just didn't click, and WWE saw that. They went for the Yeet movement. I think that's one reason why they're scared to pull the trigger on an LA Knight run, is because they're scared that they like the fact that he does so much, with the fans live, but does it translate to a good title run, which is why, Exhibit A is Jey Uso on why he's probably the worst wrestler, because his matches are so uninspiring to me when I watch him in the ring.
Okay. All right. I actually had considered Big Jimmy Uso. Because I'm like, he did nothing other than he was involved in war games. But I was like, yeah, I don't, Big Jim, don't care.
I think Jay for me was because he did less with more. He
Mm-hmm.
was given more and did less with it, and I'll just leave it at that. Again, it was hard, but honestly, I could easily put John Moxley in its place and be very happy with that. There you go.
Well, mine is a little bit of a stretch as well, just because I looked at it from behind the scenes. I said my worst male wrestler was Andrade. For all the drama that he caused and all the unnecessary ending of different storylines and whatnot, just because he seemed to be, quote, unhappy with things, I felt like that makes you the worst wrestler, and it also makes you the worst employee as well. So I know some people may not agree with me on that, but I'm going with Andrade.
For this last part is a little bit bonus coverage for our viewers out there. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. It probably will not be on my audio to my radio stations because it doesn't fit the hour. But I want to put in this last question to you, my friend, before I give it to you as far as your promo for your great shows before we head on out. And that is, what are you looking forward to most in wrestling for 2026, my friend? Before we head on out.
I am most interested in seeing how these, especially with the Royal Rumble, how the Saudi Arabia PLEs go. Because before, it was easy for me to just ignore them because they were just another PLE like Fastlane and, all those other throwaway ones. But now they're going to be gearing up to showcase what they could do with the Royal Rumble and then give us maybe a sneak peek of what we can expect with WrestleMania. So I have my eyes, my ears set on how things unfold at the end of, is it at the end of January or beginning of February when the Royal Rumble is? I don't remember.
End of January.
Okay. When I'll be curious to see how things unfold then.
Well, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most in pro wrestling is to see how well the WWE does as a whole in the aftermath of the questionable decision I am putting out there with John Cena. It left a lot of people angry. There was a lot of people who hit me up on the Lakers fast break, and that night that it happened, and the days had to happen after, as far as their opinions on that, on a pop culture cosmos as well. And I know that some, like my friend TJ Johnson, supports it and support what happened. Although he said even he wouldn't have done the smiling while tapping type. He should have done the passed out type of finish on that. Probably would have made it better than what we saw. But again, I am kind of concerned because yes, Gunther got a lot of heat his first time on Monday Night Raw after, but I really think that there was so much heat towards Paul Levesque, aka Triple H. I really think that he should have ran with it because Vince McMahon ran with it when the Montreal Screwjob happened, and you look what happened there. Mr. McMahon became a household name. Mr. McMahon became a cornerstone and a center for years of what WWE programming would be, and it was all by accident. And I think again, the decision was made. A lot of fingers were pointed, a lot of booing. I think they should have just coddled that and had Triple H become more of an on-screen character in a heel format going forward to sustain business. Because I am really interested to see if this time next year the WWE will have sustained its business, my friend, and it will keep going as strong as it is leading into this year and for a good part of this year as well.
Yeah, that's a pretty good prediction. Or that's really poignant what you mentioned there. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because you're right. All it takes is just enough fans to be upset and not to go and not to participate and not to buy merchandise, et cetera, and then those millions and millions of dollars you are making, you lose a little bit of those millions, and then at what point does that cause layoffs, restructuring, et cetera?
So before we head on out, my friend, it's time for that magical pitch that only you can give. Please let us know what's going on with the show that you're cheating on me with other wrestling aficionados, the PVD cast, and of course, also the great work that you do on Matt Talk.
Well, the PVD Cast is my own personal podcasting project. It is available at pvdcast.com. It's also available wherever you find great great podcasts, period, whether they're wrestling related or not. I have kind of taking a couple of weeks off as I normally do, just to refresh. And I'm going to be spending some family time up in Rhode Island with mom and stepdad, and spending some other time with some other family and friends as well here in Ohio. So I just got to take the next couple weeks off, but new episodes return January 8th. I'm looking forward to it. Feel free, though, if you're new to the PVD cast, go back in the archives, grab some episodes. Gerald and I have done quite a few recently that have been very insightful and thoughtful, but there's plenty of other great content as well over at pvdcast.com. And I'm also one of the co-hosts of Matt Talk, the only Matlock-themed podcast on the planet. That's right. We're talking the old 90s Andy Griffith show, Matlock, where every other week, we take a look at an episode. We kind of dissect it. We analyze it. We kind of even make fun of it to an extent. And that's available wherever you can find the Three Geeks podcast or PVD cast, as we cycle that. Matt Talk through those different Facebook channels and YouTube channels and whatnot.
Well, there you go. Indeed. Once again, it is the PVD Cast, pvdcast.com. Also, as well, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, and Matt Talk as well. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I'm wishing you the safest of travels and happiest of travels. Watch out for the Death Riders. But any last thoughts before we head on out, my friend?
No, I just want everybody out there that's listening or watching, have a very safe holiday season. Enjoy your holidays. I hope it's surrounded by, people you love, your friends, your family. And I even though I'm taking this break, I'm already eager to get back at it. So, but again, happy holidays to everybody.
And also happy holidays from me as well. Once again, it is the State of Pro Wrestling. We'll be back after the Royal Rumble to go ahead and disseminate the aftermath and let you know what's going on in the world of pro wrestling as only we can. If you have any questions, at the PVD Cast all over social media, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or you could just put it right below on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch on my channels or John's. It really doesn't matter. We'll get to it, and we'll love to, and because we love to hear your thoughts on the state of pro wrestling as well. So for John Orlando, my tag team partner, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Want to thank you so much for watching, listening. It's another beautiful day in paradise for everyone out there, coming up for you on the state of pro wrestling, right here for you as part of the PVD Cast, Matt Talk, and also right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Punter! It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos.